Within that extra-large state of Texas is an equally impressive natural area called Big Bend National Park, protecting 800,000 acres of wilderness in the Chizos Mountains. So off I went in my Jeep and A-frame to see what it had to offer for adventure. Whoa. Well, it's a very beautiful but very hot day in Big Bend today. But I wanted to show you this campsite. I think it's just unbelievable. I have this all to myself. Let me just pan the camera so you know what it looks like. As that's facing, I think that's east. And that's north. And that's west with the back of my Jeep. But what a beautiful view. But the amazing thing about this place is that this is the only campsite around for like 2 miles. It's not like a group campsite where they have one area and they try to put like 10 people in here. This is one campsite. I've almost got the whole valley to myself, which is absolutely unbelievable. And especially in a national park after, Grand Canyon and Yellowstone, where everybody's packed in like sardines. Big Bend, there's just so much open space. It's just absolutely amazing. The view from my campsite alone was impressive. Just sitting in my chair and taking it all in would be enough. But I was sure there was more beyond the current horizon. Of all the national parks, this has got to be the best deal. Like, I came in here and I didn't really do a lot of research, but I looked at the pamphlet, and I know for group camping, for hookups, I think it was $14 a night. So I went to the visitor center to see if I could get primitive camping, and they say, yeah, you can get a permit for packing in the backcountry, which is what I did. And instead of $14 a night, they charged me $12, which I thought was a good deal. But later on, when I looked at my receipt, it wasn't $12 a night, it was $12 for the whole time I'm camping. And you can camp up to 2 weeks here. So that's like 86 cents a night. Now, it's not boondocking. I can't say I'm boondocking this time because I actually paid for camping. But for 86 cents a night, what a deal. March is the perfect time to see Big Bend, as the spring flowers are blooming every color you can imagine. But just like the serving size in a Texas restaurant, everything here has to be more. Like the blossoms on a Texas mesquite bush, or the fields full of Texas blue bonnets. Let's throw in a couple of mule ears as a backdrop. Along with natural beauty, Big Bend has historical interest as well. Hey, look what I found! A lucky horseshoe. Lucky for me, I have my camera. I'll keep the image. Horseshoes for somebody else. My first day ended with a subtle sunset over the mountains, but it did show me that Texas wasn't a Lone Star state, that they actually had several. Another beautiful morning. And it's going to be a fun one because I'm off to the Rio Grande today. And it also gives me a chance to try a product that somebody gave me like months ago, but I haven't had a chance to use. And that is these shoes. They were sent to me by Aliner, and they're special shoes. They're completely useless for snow or the desert where there's thorns because they have holes in them. But what they're perfect for is the beach or wading through a river or canoeing or kayaking. So it seems to me that the Rio Grande would be perfect. They're comfortable. Let's see if they work. One thing about Big Bend is you can stay here 2 weeks and you're still not going to see everything. It's the kind of place that you can go back to over and over again. The Rio Grande is the southern border with Mexico for over 100 miles. This is the view from the Santa Elena Canyon in the west portion of the park. I forgot to ask where the name Big Bend came from, but this section has my vote. The sheer cliff drops 1,000 feet from both sides. The left is Mexico, the right USA. Say hello in the canyon and the echo says hola. The vegetation is lush, with thickets of bamboo skirting a short walking trail. While the Santa Elena Canyon is gorgeous, a survey of the Rio Grande would not be complete without seeing its eastern border. Off to Mexico! The non-traditional route. This is called the Boquillas crossing. No longer a deep gorge, the Rio Grande is more like a little shallow river this time of year. The key feature to this area is its proximity to a small Mexican town. It is also a small port of entry. After a little customs office, tourists on the U.S. side can take a small rowboat to Mexico for about $5 each, but I wanted a more unique experience. This is totally awesome! I get to wade across the Rio Grande to Mexico. Really not that cold. I made it! I'm in Mexico! Landing ashore, you have the option of taking a mule or truck the rest of the way, as many tourists do. But it's only a half mile at best, and some prefer to get off their ass and walk, just like me. what better way to be greeted than by these two little mascots of the town?
Hello. Hello, little doggies.
They did seem to have a little case of the Spanish flea, though. Another dog was not as enthusiastic, preferring a siesta to work. This is Boquillas del Carmen, a cute little town full of charm and tradition. But it wouldn't be Mexico without a few souvenir stands on the side. Almost completely isolated from major cities, Boquillas relies completely on solar power for energy. And Jesus for its faith. But I was getting hungry, and the Boquillas restaurant looked really inviting. They even had a portrait of the US president to make Americans feel at home. Lunch in Mexico. Special today, enchiladas. Not bad. After 2 months of gas station burritos, this was heaven to me. Well, I can't leave Boquillas without at least one margarita. And not too many margaritas, or that Rio Grande will be a little slippery. Boquillas has a little bit of that Old West charm, natural beauty of the desert, and some of the best views of the Rio Grande. But the river was calling, so back I waded. Well, whether you wade or you take a boat, a trip to Boquillas is totally worth it. As the light gently faded over the old windmill, there were few clues as to what lay ahead for the next morning. It's a cold one this morning. 0. It actually got colder when the sun came up this morning. But it's never too cold for hot pancakes. Whoa! Even in Big Bend, it can go from super hot to freezing in a matter of hours. Ugh. A drive through the frost-laden forest of the upper level was truly magical. This is so surreal. It's like being in a dream. A frozen crystal desert was as rare as it was brief, and by the next morning, the warming sun glimpsed over the horizon. But no long treks today, just a little exploring of the hills around my campsite. It's a little piece of heaven. Just as you can't see the forest for the trees, the mountains could obscure their little treasures, the rocks themselves. Weathered into contour maps of time, each rock tells its own story. This formation reminded me of the stupas and pagodas in Southeast Asia. So when I found a peaceful little cave, it seemed fitting to try a Buddhist chant.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sambuddhassa. Sato.
My Zen moment over, it was time for one last walk. Some may be concerned about snakes and scorpions on the trails. I did see one snake, but no scorpions this time of year. I did, however, see one unusual little critter. He was peacefully sitting on a rock, perfectly camouflaged by his surroundings. I had to touch him to see if he was actually alive. There's so much to see in Big Bend. I felt I just barely scratched the surface of this precious gem. But I'll leave those new discoveries for another time. Well, after a long hot day, it's nice when the sun starts going down. A little cooler, nice breeze. Watch the sunset. Especially when it's fried rice night. Well, I hope you enjoyed this journey and will continue to follow me on the long road ahead.